became known to Canadians last summer as the We charity scandal, involving the Prime Minister, the pandemic, and a children's charity. For over a decade, We co-founders Marc and Craig Kielburger proudly considered Justin Trudeau and his family as solid supporters of their charity, and it's that very relationship that damaged their reputation when We was awarded a contract to run a student grants program worth $500 million. That program was later cancelled after links were found between the charity and Trudeau's family. The Fifth Estate co-host Marc Kelley tonight gives us an in-depth look inside the charity in his new documentary, The Price We Paid. It includes a rare sit-down interview with We's co-founders, the Kielburger brothers.
We were incredibly blindsided at multiple points by this. We were naive on the politics. We were naive in how this was going to be seen. We own all of that. I wish others would also own their side of it.
Well, especially the politicians. We were politically mugged, but not just us. All these young people were politically mugged in the process.
We were politically mugged. Part of the conversation between the Kielburger brothers, and Marc Kelley, who's with me this morning here in Toronto. Marc, a rare sit-down with Marc and Craig Kielburger. Thank you for coming in to tell us about it this morning and what we're going to see on the 5th tonight. Beyond what we heard in that little excerpt, tell us a little bit more about what you've learned and how they're doing.
Well, yeah, sum it up in 2 words, their words, sad and angry. I mean, sad because the We charity at its peak. I mean, here they were crossing country with their feel-good festivals, We Days, that so many kids, enthusiastic kids, were taking part in. They were involved in so many schools, fundraising activities, international activities. Even one of my own sons raised money so he could go to Kenya to be part of the We to Me, Me to We movement. So, you saw this happening, and they were really part of the Canadian fabric, and so much of that is now gone, in part because of the political scandal, in part because of the pandemic. So they're sad about that. Angry, why? Because they say it was the federal government that gave them this contract. They didn't ask for it, so they say. They say it was the Prime Minister's fault for not recusing himself from that decision to give them the contract. So as far as they're concerned, they did nothing wrong. But this is how they put it in their own words.
Well, it wasn't the failure to recuse scandal.
Right.
It wasn't the Prime Minister scandal. It wasn't the government scandal. It ended up being the We charity scandal.
It was really unfortunate that there wasn't a moment when a politician, any party, chose to stand up and say, you know what, that we shouldn't use a children's charity's name as a political football. That instead, let's properly call it what it is. And this was a political issue. This was a political issue that had a charity as roadkill, as collateral damage.
So interesting. Hey, they view this as their charity as collateral damage and all of this. You look tonight at the relationship, We charity's rising and now fallen relationship with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I'm interested, Marc, how close were they?
Well, the word that the Kielburgers used over and over again in our conversation was naive. But let's drill down on that notion, Heather. In 2007, before Justin Trudeau was even elected into politics, he was at the first We Day event and participated in that in 2007. When he's elected in 2008, boom, he's on the stage. And again, and again, and again. And it wasn't just the Prime Minister. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, his wife, she was doing a podcast. She was a brand ambassador for the We organization. Margaret Trudeau is on the stage over and over again. She's an outspoken mental health advocate. So was the Prime Minister's own brother, Alexandre Trudeau. And then it's revealed that the We organization paid Margaret Trudeau $180,000 for 28 We events, $164,000 in expenses. I mean, you don't have to be a political scientist to see that there was a relationship between the Kielburgers and the Trudeaus, and it's a relationship that Craig acknowledges, and as he told me in our interview, he now regrets.
And how have the Kielburgers reacted to your investigation, Marc?
Well, they've been critical of our documentary even before it airs, which We're not surprised. That often happens. But a little bit more surprised last week, Heather, we began receiving these sort of threatening legal letters from a law firm that they'd hired in New York City, a high-priced law firm in New York City that they've hired to represent them. I Googled this law firm, and they were the law firm that took a lot of heat because they were representing the now convicted sexual predator Harvey Weinstein. So this is the kind of firm that they wanted to get to represent them. You know, they like to say that they're a naive children's charity, but I think they're a bit more of a sophisticated organization than that.
Now fighting for survival, though, what is next for the organization and for the brothers themselves?
You know, Heather, I think what they're trying to do right now is put as much daylight and distance between the We Charity scandal and the We Charity itself. Not going to be easy to do. We know that they've been called to testify before the Federal Ethics Committee in Ottawa on February 26th. We know that the Federal Ethics Commissioner continues his investigation into Justin Trudeau to see whether there was a conflict of interest in their own charity, in their relationship. We can see here we were in their building in downtown Toronto, a building that they're now trying to sell to raise money to keep some of their international obligations afloat. It's a tough time for them. They want to put this scandal behind them, but as we can see right now, this scandal still has legs.
Very much so, Mark, and thank you very much. We'll look forward to hearing all about it in your piece tonight.